I'm good. It says we're live.
Okay, I think we're good. What's up, golf friends? This is Jim Colton, and this is the Driven Golf Podcast. I'm here with the super producer and guy with a super looper hat, Joseph K. What's going on, Joseph?
Hey, Jim, what's going on?
Yeah, it's good to see you. This is episode 43. I saw you just the other day. We were together at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. You weren't wearing the hat. I was wearing my Driven Golf hat. You weren't wearing your looper hat. I thought for sure you'd be wearing it. But anyways, we got to hang out. You were basically spent more time on the course than maybe any of the players. It seemed like you were out there for most of last week. Did so? What was your observations being out there at TPC Craig Ranch?
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to live 10 minutes away from the course. So rather than sit around on the couch all day and watch it, I thought I'd get out there and see the pros in action. So up close and personal. And had I known that you could shoot 66, 67, 65, 63 and still lose by 8, I would have never guessed that. So congrats to Scotty. He wanted to get in on the mix of a lot of big time winners we've seen lately. JT has won, Bryson's won, Rory's won. So golf is in a great place right now. And yeah, it was great to see all the action out there. Weather was a little dodgy one day, a big time delay. But yeah, when you give Scotty some prime conditions on a well manicured golf course, he's gonna pick it apart, and he hit some great shots out there. So it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting you mentioned it because I'll add Jordan Spieth to the mix. Like as you get approaching a major, I think the PGA Championship's 2 weeks away now. Like you want to see guys coming in to form, and you mentioned these guys that have been winning lately, and even Bryson, on the Live Tour. But you got Jordan Spieth also potentially going for the Grand Slam. Kind of been an afterthought. We were watching him because he was in the group behind Scotty, only because he was in the back half, coming up behind Scotty. He was teeing off obviously in the last group that last day as they were trying to get caught up. Um, yeah, but then he goes out and shoots 9 under in the last round. A little bit of a statement. Hopefully, some good feelings that might carry over, into Quail Hollow in a couple weeks. Who knows? Maybe we have two Grand Slam crownees in the same year, kind of out of nowhere. Honestly, I think no one's really has our boy Spieth on the radar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one of the golfers I believe that you saw, he didn't make the cut, but in the first couple of days, Hayden Springer. That's our guest for this episode 43. Someone we've been really wanting to have on our podcast for a while, a local guy. He was a home game for him this week. And can you can you maybe paint a picture of this episode and just a little bit of background on Hayden and just the significance of him as a guest for us?
Yeah, so his story is one of the most unique and just pulls at the heartstrings kind of story in all of golf. Um, he had a huge tragic loss of a young daughter at a very young age. So, he's been through, the lowest of lows, and he's someone that I don't care who you are on the tour, you want to be paired with him and you want to be around him because, he's someone that doesn't take a single minute of being on tour for granted. He earned his right to be there through some of the worst circumstances. So it was really cool to listen to his story and get to see him at his craft. He's a big dude, man. He can get after the golf ball. I was surprised to see how big he was. So anytime there's a course with a lot of rough out there, I have no doubt that he'll be able to navigate it.
Yeah, like I said, he grew up in this area, and actually, I think he's maybe a year younger than Scotty. So really, kind of growing up in the shadows. We hear all the time about Scotty, Will Zalatoris, all these tournaments that these guys won as juniors, and Hayden had a very good junior career, but overshadowed probably by these guys and all their accomplishments. Um, yeah, and even his college career, he even admitted like he wasn't heavily recruited. He went to Texas Tech and then ultimately had TCU, headed to TCU. But the interesting thing, if you read in between the lines, and hopefully this comes out in the episode, he's been a guy who has just been steadily improving. And I think about sort of like the tortoise and the hare, like slow and steady, I think wins the race when it comes to golf. And he's somebody who's always had, seems like he's always had this vision of where he wanted to be in the future. And he knew that that would take these series of steps, 200, 300, whatever, however many number of steps. And he was just willing to take those steps. Like his eye has always been on the future. And I just think that he's somebody who I would expect just to continue to like kind of slowly improve each year on the tour. And we've seen that even year two versus year one. And I honestly think like we talked a little bit about it in the episode. I think a lot of this like character makeup and his personality, a lot of that kind of came through in the face of this tragedy too. And I think a lot of ways that the reason that his daughter and her story has really resonated with people is because they really fought to give her, as much life and as much opportunity as she could within this very short and tragically short life. But just the amount of people that she was able to touch, and now they have this platform and really a purpose to the work that he's doing on the tour, and it's just bigger than that. And I think it's a story that we really wanted to tell correctly and give it the amount of respect and dignity that it deserved, and hopefully that comes out in this episode. But you said it, like this is the guy we want to see continue to improve and do great things, win on the tour, grow the amount of awareness around trisomy 18 and all the good things that can come out of playing really good golf, because I think he's somebody who will shepherd that responsibility really, really well. So I think that's really neat.
Yeah, I think that's great. And one thing he touches on in the episode here, Jim, is he didn't play a whole lot of AJGA golf tournaments, and he may have needed some driven golf in his life. And I know the website has been kind of under maintenance and had seen some improvements. So you want to talk a little bit about that? What do we got cooking?
Yeah. This is a big launch. So we completely renovated and rebuilt the website driven.golf from scratch, and really it was kind of tough to stay on top of it with the content and making sure that it was like readily accessible and available and easily, like the content was easy to find. So I think that this new website's pretty slick in that either if you're on your phone or you're on your desktop, really broken out into these content categories. We've got all of Andrew's, long form videos separated by category. I honestly think it's an easier way to browse his videos than to go on his YouTube channel. I don't know if I'll say that out loud, but like you can easily like sort through the categories of videos and it automatically filters it for you. And that same sort of user experience, I think, is for the podcast or also the blog post. So if you wanted to go, like we've had 6 or 7 college coaches we had on the podcast. If you just want to quickly filter college coaches, it would bring up those episodes. So the only other thing that I would say is this is just the beginning. So I think that that we've got big plans to continue to grow this over time, and just around the corner, we're going to continue to plug away at adding some more functionality. And the other thing I wanted to mention real quick is the Wagger Power Calculator, which used to just kind of exist as a Google spreadsheet, is now embedded into the website. So all you have to do is you can cut and paste like AJGA fields, or if you follow college golf and you want to cut and paste like a golf stat or a score or a leaderboard from Clipped, it automatically will look up all those Wagger names, the resulting ranks, and give you the power ranking, which hopefully can assist in sort of tournament scheduling and thinking about the different options if Wagger is something that's important to you. And I go ahead usually in the bigger ones, I kind of save them so they're like on a sidebar. You can pull them up and see what the latest power rankings are. Pretty neat. I was pretty amazed at that we could build that out. Yeah. So anyways, we're pushing on all fronts in an angle of attack. This segment, actually Hayden Springer talked about it too. He actually went back to his original swing coach the middle of last year after he kind of struggled in the middle of the summer, and he's talked about like getting back to his roots and the things that made him good in the first place. He really wanted to kind of get back to that home base. And Andrew talks about that topic specifically coming out of the JT's win that you mentioned earlier, this topic of having this process of getting rooted in your fundamentals. Like Scotty is the perfect example of this, with his training grip and getting squared away and just having this routine where he's just never, I guess the reason he's consistently solid, he's never really that far off kilter, right? So he has this process where he's able to stay centered, and it's sort of the importance of it. And maybe a lot of junior and amateur golfers probably, they probably just take that for granted. But the best players in the world are very focused on that. And we've seen through Justin Thomas's improved play this year, I think it's because he's gotten more grounded in his roots. So jam-packed episode. I encourage folks to listen to the end. We have a really special DG Beat Lab song dedicated to Hayden Springer's daughter. So do me a favor, listen to that. If this episode touches your heartstrings in any way, like forward it to somebody you think needs to hear this story. I think that if there's anything that we can do to help raise awareness to Hayden, his family's journey, and also this platform that they have with this Extra to Love foundation, I think that we need to keep pushing on that front. So anything we can do on that front, we'll continue to do so. So Joseph, I appreciate the time. It was good seeing you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, Jim.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
I lost my timer. Where are we on time?
11:47.
Okay. All right, it was good. Anything else that came out of the tournament?
Not really. I mean, I tried to pay attention to some of the caddy player interactions, but there just wasn't a whole lot. There's not much to that golf course. It's just, here's the number, here's the wind, go hit the shot. What was interesting about the Davis Riley thing?
Yeah.
You remember the last time that he called a penalty on himself?
Yeah, I heard it was in the U.S. Junior.
U.S. Junior, yeah. So
and Scotty.
Yeah.
Right?
If Scotty's keys to success is just a Davis Riley penalty on himself.
Yeah, I was interested to see who would pick the strawberry Uncrustables and who would pick the grape Uncrustables at the turn. The game within the game kind of stuff.
Yeah, Teddy Scott's a big orange guy. I saw him reach for multiple oranges at multiple different locations. So always grabbing the fruit.
Yeah, and they're ripping that course out, right? They probably already started.
Yeah, I know. It's the record-breaking course, and now it's no longer record-tying course.
So I didn't see the end. Someone had mentioned to me like he almost took it one deeper than that, right? Was he almost made a putt on 18?
Yeah, well, he flubbed a chip shot on 17 and made bogey, and then 18's the easiest hole on the course, so. If you par it, you're losing ground to the field. So, yeah, he had a chance and ended up tying the scoring record. And at that point, he's just exhausted too. He just wants to get out of there.
That was a long week.
He stayed Saturday night, I saw, and signed everybody's autograph that wanted one. So that was pretty cool to see in the dark.
Yeah, that's why we love the guy. And I'm all in on any Bennett Scheffler content. I'm all in on it. Like Bennett Scheffler, stick him in a trophy.
Oh yeah.
Put a cowboy hat on him. Like do whatever you want.
Yeah, it was cool to see. Scotty got pretty emotional too after the round, which I didn't see coming because he was so stoic the whole week.
So I mean, you said that obviously it wasn't always at TPC Craig Ranch, but this has always been the hometown event. I haven't been living here that long, but like, is there really kind of like a true connection? There's a lot of pros kind of from this area, Spieth and Scheffler being the foremost, but there's other guys too. It seemed like Scotty had a real strong connection with this tournament.
Yeah, and more so when it was at the TPC Four Seasons, which is now the Nelson Club. Mm-hmm. I think that was the longest standing spot. and that I think had serious connections to a lot of those guys. Because if you grow up going to the tournament and then playing at the exact same location of the tournament, I think it maybe just means more. But yeah, it's been 5, 6, maybe even 7 different spots around here. So it's it's some people say it's one of the harder ones to win because it is the hometown. You got all the pressure of people watching you.
Yeah.
So it's it hopefully it, like you said, Jordan takes some momentum from it. It sounds like he's been lit a fire under him from Scotty. He admitted that he's better than him and that he's officially better than him because he's passed him in win total now too. So
Crazy, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Uh, One quick thing just on junior and amateur golf. So we were early on the Blades Brown, quote unquote, the decision.
Oh
um,
yeah.
because obviously he was playing here at the Veritex and was in contention. And this is something that I think I brought to yours and Andrew's attention on Saturday. And then as
Yeah.
it got down the stretch on Sunday, it's like this may be something, it may be in his best interest to go to Mexico and not play in the Byron, which would have freed up a spot. And we were
Yeah.
wondering about who that spot would go to and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Credit to
we
you.
were
You broke the
following.
story. I saw that Ryan French tweeted it.
Yeah, yeah, and then I saw Ryan tweeted the exact same thing. Yeah, so and at the end of the day, I don't even think it was a decision. Really, I think once you understood the facts behind it, it was very much a no brainer. Like people were saying how smart he was to do this or figure this out. It wasn't. There really wasn't much figuring out. Like if his agent is worth any bit of his
Yeah.
weight, like he would have had this all mapped out and all these permutations. So.
Yeah. If your opinion on this subject was the play in the Byron, then that told me everything I needed to know about you as a golf
Yeah,
enthusiast.
yeah. I mean,
So
and look, like we could dive in if anybody's listening, but basically, if you think where he is at, anybody who's just turned professional, doesn't matter if they're 17 or 23 or whatever. The thing that you are playing for is status. The thing that you
yep.
you want to get is secure status somewhere. Because once you're able to secure status, like obviously he's very very skilled. Like if he's playing somewhere every week or nearly every week, he's going to move up over time. That's almost a guarantee. But it's like securing that status is really the most important thing.
Right.
So even if he was maybe even like a top five finish, much less like top tie for second, he would have been close enough within range. And plus, like he only has like one sponsor's exemption left in Corn Ferry to make up this gap, right? So the fact that he was top 25 and in the following week, now you have two chances to get those points. He missed the cut, but like it's much easier to do that. And then the rest of the season would be sort of mapped out, and he would
Mm-hmm.
still be eligible for the playoffs. Like he could, like, it's really for him. It's like what's going to give me the highest probability of getting my tour card sooner rather than later, and that process absolutely means playing on the Corn Ferry as many tournaments, getting in the playoffs, like securing status. Even if you were to fall short of whatever it is now, the top 20, having secure spot in Corn Ferry or getting the final stage in Q School where he's got an opportunity to get his card that way. Like all of those outcomes are positive outcomes, right? All coming from getting that temporary membership. So, he's still got a chance. And look, he could, he could Monday qualify. Like those don't count against the four. So, uh, I would imagine he's probably going to start hammering away at those Corn Ferry opportunities because he's made every
Yeah.
cut. He's played in Corn Ferry and obviously was just contending.
Except for last week.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, and the other interesting twist is our boy Miles played a couple of Corn Ferry events too. He was also in Mexico. That course must have been very, very difficult, more difficult than most of your Corn Ferry events because there were a lot more high scores than we're used to in
Yeah,
KFT.
I saw that.
But But yeah, so and then it's kind of a lull period in amateur golf because we got a week before regionals start, and that'll be
And we're
very
saying
interesting to track.
we're saying goodbye to a couple of top amateurs too next month. It looks like,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
So Luke Clanton's officially
Yeah.
got his first start at the Canadian Open. Um, there's actually I think Hayden's playing in it too. The June 2nd is the longest day in golf or whatever. That's most of the U.S. Open final qualifying. So that must be right after the Memorial, I'm guessing. But right before the Canadian Open.
Hmm.
So there's a Monday in Canada that will probably have a lot of pros.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then
Yeah.
playing the Canadian Open. Typically they had that one like right after Memorial. I'm not sure if the schedule lines up that way.
And what a tough spot to come out of then. If you're in Canada
but they have
playing
a lot
at
of
that one.
spots. Yeah, but they have a lot of spots,
Okay.
right? And then there's the Texas one is in a couple weeks. That usually has a pretty good crew. Because I guess that would that be right before. That's the Monday right after PGA. Is that right before Colonial then?
Yes.
Probably is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So it would be the 19th,
Yeah.
and then Colonial will be, that week, end of that week.
Yeah, and there've been a ton of local qualifiers today actually. So a lot of the college guys, because this is a week off for them, were playing in qualifiers this week. Yeah. So, anyways, do we want to talk Monday qualifier? You caddied at the pre-qual and the Monday qualifier. Anything came out of that?
Yeah, we can. I even listened to the qualifier mindset on the way in, and it didn't serve me. It didn't serve me very well because it wasn't the greatest caddy performance, nor was it the best course management performance or kind of decision making off the tee. But it's a learning lesson. It's something that you take and you kind of file away in the bank, and next time you're more prepared for it. And I think if there's one thing specifically that we can learn from it is, and I know Andrew's talked about this before, is just because the weather is a certain way in your practice round doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the round. And I encourage folks and even myself to really drill down into what that's going to look like, because you can usually get a pretty good estimation. And don't be afraid to, throw some balls down in the practice round where you probably will be, or maybe hit a different club off the tee based off of the wind.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was a windy, blustery day out there, and the course played completely different than when we played in a practice round. So
I think. I mean, this has to be true for the U.S. Open qualifiers too, but like the Mondays especially, like I even saw today, like the scores were super low. And you see guys they'll be like one over the turn, and they'll just back out. Like the pros that have been doing it for a long time. But like, I don't think you have to pitch a no hitter to Monday qualify. You don't have to pitch a perfect game for sure. You probably don't have to pitch a no hitter. You might have to pitch like a two hitter, right?
Yep.
Like I think you can get away with a mistake or a lost shot. One or two. Probably, but
yeah,
you can make up ground. Like you just have to, I mean, how many times have we seen it? Like guys go on a run out of nowhere, 5 birdies and 6 holes or whatever, chip in, like,
chip in, hole in one, anything. Yeah.
I think that's sort of the thing, because I think going into the qualifier, like you have this mindset of like, well, it has to go perfectly well, and then when you have this one instance where it doesn't go perfectly well, or even if it's a missed opportunity, not necessarily a drop shot, but just like, oh, I parred this par 5, and you're thinking like, and that changes your whole mindset after the fact, when maybe it didn't have to do that,
Right. Yeah, it's a good way to explain it. You got to be patient, even though it seems like you shouldn't be patient.
Yeah.
The birdies.
So maybe that's a topic we should revisit with Andrew.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one.
All right, well, let me get cracking on this, and I'll try to get this out later tonight, but most people will see it tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds good, brother.
All right, thanks, Joseph. We'll see you.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Bye.